Listen to the audiobook Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, Level A2, Oxford Reading University.
Part 2. You will find Part 1 in the description and on our channel.
He was extremely sad to learn that Aouda and Fogg weren't among the passengers. He arrived in Yokohama not knowing what to do. He had no food and no money. Suddenly, he came across a group of circus artists. He once was a circus artist himself, and they invited him to perform with them that evening. He had to stand at the bottom of a human pyramid. Passepartout got lucky that evening. As he stood on the stage holding other artists on his shoulders, he noticed Aouda and Fogg in the crowd. He was so happy that he jumped forward at once. That was a huge mistake. The pyramid shook and fell apart. "Mr. Fogg," he cried. "Ah, here you are," Fogg said calmly. "Let's board our ship." As they passed through the hall, they met the owner of the circus. He was very angry, and Fogg had to give him money to apologize for Passepartout's mistake. They left for San Francisco together. Detective Fix was, of course, also on the ship, but Passepartout didn't remember anything about that night in the bar, so he didn't tell Fogg that Fix was after him. Fortunately, they arrived in America right on schedule. That same day, the group boarded the train to New York. After that, they were going to cross the Atlantic and return to England. An hour into the trip, snow began to fall, and soon the train came to a stop. "The bridge is shaky. It will fall under the weight of the train," the conductor said. "We will have to go to the next station on foot." The idea of walking through the snow didn't please anyone. However, there seemed to be no other choice. Suddenly, the engineer spoke up. "I have an idea. If the train moves at maximum speed, we might be able to cross the bridge." Passepartout got worried. He thought it was safer to let the passengers cross the bridge on foot. However, nobody listened to him. The train moved back, then started forward at full speed. It flew over the river like a bird and landed safely on the other side. The next moment, the bridge shook and fell into the water. 7. Fogg was already arriving late, but even more dangers were waiting for him along the way. In the valley of the Colorado River, a group of Native Americans attacked the train. They knocked out the conductor and the engineer, then fought with the passengers. This whole time, the train kept moving. 2 miles further down the road lay an army station. "We must stop the train there no matter what," Passepartout thought. "Without the help of the soldiers, we are all going to die here." He climbed onto the roof of the train and ran toward the locomotive. Finally, his circus experience proved useful. Passepartout managed to detach the locomotive from the train. Without the engine, the train kept moving for a while and then stopped, right next to the army station. When the soldiers scared away the natives, Fogg went to look for his servant. However, Passepartout was nowhere to be found. The locomotive carried him, 2 other passengers, and some natives further down the track. Mr. Fogg was quiet for a while. Then he said to Aouda, "I will find him dead or alive. If we act fast, he will probably still be alive." "You are a real hero," Aouda cried. She found him to be a very brave and attractive man. Aouda and Fix stayed at the station and waited for Fogg to return. Finally, he appeared, together with Passepartout and the 2 other passengers. They were safe. However, they lost way too much time. When they arrived in New York, their ship to Liverpool was already far at sea. It seemed like there was no hope of reaching London on time. Passepartout felt incredibly bad. They were only 45 minutes late for the ship, and all because of him. Fogg stayed calm as always. He walked through the port asking captains about when and where they were going. Finally, he found a man whose ship was going to France. "Will you take us to Liverpool?" Fogg asked. "Certainly not," the man replied. "And to Bordeaux?" Fogg continued. "I will give you $2,000 for each of the 4 passengers." The next morning, the ship sailed, with Fogg as its captain. What happened was very simple. The Englishmen paid the sailors, and they caught the real captain and locked him in his cabin. Now Fogg was in control of the ship, and he was leading it to Liverpool. Fix decided that Fogg was a pirate, and that they were never going to return to England. On December 16th, with only 5 days left until the end of Fogg's trip, the engineer knocked on the door of his cabin. "We don't have enough fuel to go at full speed anymore," he said. "Then I will buy this ship and burn it for fuel," replied Fogg. He went to talk to the captain. The man was incredibly angry. "The ship costs $50,000 and you want to burn it?" he shouted. "I will pay you $60,000, was Fogg's response. In 4 days, the ship was mostly destroyed. When there was nothing left to burn, Fogg stopped in an Irish port. At 12 o'clock on December 21st, Fogg arrived in Liverpool. He had just enough time to be at the Gentlemen's Club at 8:45. Yet the moment he stepped on English land, Fix lay his hand on Fogg's shoulder and said, "In the name of the Queen, you are arrested." 8. Now there was no hope left. Fix took Fogg to the police station. He had to appear in court the next day. Passepartout and Aouda were so nervous they were about to cry. However, Fogg was still calm. He sat on the bench at the station, deep in thought, when the door opened. Detective Fix ran into the room, red in the face and out of breath. Sir, I am so sorry. I thought you were somebody else. The police arrested the robber 3 days ago. You are free," he exclaimed. Phileas Fogg said nothing. He stood up and hit Fix in the face. Then he joined Aouda and Passepartout outside of the police station. He still had a chance to be on time, yet the train took longer than usual to take them to London. When they arrived, it was 8:50 p.m. on the clock, 5 minutes too late. They arrived in the empty house, and Passepartout went to prepare a room for Aouda. Meanwhile, Fogg said, "When I promised you a safe life in Europe, I was rich, but now I don't have a penny, and I don't know what to do. I have no friends or family to help me." "Perhaps you'd like a friend and a family in one person?" Aouda asked. "I mean, would you like to have me as your wife?" Fogg held her by the hand. "I love you, and I am all yours," he said, smiling. When Passepartout entered the room, they were still holding hands. He understood everything at once. "The wedding will be tomorrow," he cried. "I will go to the priest and tell him about it." At 8:35 he ran into the house. He seemed very excited. "Sir, the wedding day can't be tomorrow because tomorrow is Sunday," he said. "How? That means I haven't lost the bet," Fogg cried. "Not yet. We arrived 24 hours earlier than planned, but now you only have 10 minutes left." Now you are probably thinking, how could that happen? You see, Fogg was traveling toward the east the whole time, so every time he crossed a time zone, he gained another hour. That was how he managed to return home one day earlier than expected. But now he was running out of time again. On the way to the gentlemen's club, Fogg's carriage nearly killed 2 dogs and caused 5 accidents. But at exactly 8:45 p.m., it stopped in front of the club. Fogg entered the room, where his partners were already waiting for him. After all his troubles, he won the bet. On Monday morning, Passepartout knocked on the door of Fogg's room. "Sir, I just learned that it was possible for us to make the trip in just 78 days, he said. "Sure, if we didn't go through India," was Fogg's reply. "But because we did, I now have the most wonderful wife."
Support our channel by liking this video. Together we can keep making free content for English learners around the world. And now here's another video to help you improve your English.